Hey guys, welcome back to Magic TV. My name's Craig. It is 9 o'clock on a Sunday, which means it's time for a review show special. And today I'm going to be looking at the Refractor Project by Kev G and Colin. Now, if you don't know what the Refractor Project is, it's a huge, massive website dedicated to doing magic with a Rubik's Cube and no gimmicks. So there's no gimmicks involved in this project. It is full of basically routines with a regular ungimmicked Rubik's Cube. And there's a heck of a lot on there. I mean, I have been looking through this thing for weeks now. Everybody who knows this channel and everybody who knows me will know that I am a huge fan of Rubik's Cube Magic. I perform a lot of Rubik's Cube Magic. And although I have no problem using gimmicks, there are a lot of routines that I do where I don't use gimmicks. When I'm doing walk around magic, for example, I like just having a Rubik's Cube on me and nothing else and being able to do a whole bunch of stuff. And that is what you get with this project. You get access to a ridiculous amount of videos teaching you so much ungimmicked Rubik's Cube magic, you won't know where to begin. I mean, it's like falling down a rabbit hole. You know, you start poking your head down there and it's like, oh my gosh, now I can learn this, now I can learn this, now I can learn this. It's crazy. So I wanted to do a review show special on the whole project because frankly, there's so much. It's very, very involved. And as with most review show specials, I first of all sat down with the creators of the whole project and the creators of the whole website that's dedicated to this project. And I sat down with them. I asked them a few questions about the Refractor Project. I asked them about its origins, where it came from, where these guys teamed up together. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to run that interview first of all, and it really is a fascinating interview. It's worth watching. And then after the interview, I'm going to run through exactly what you get with this project, because when you first go onto the website, there is literally so much, and there's different volumes and there's different bundles, and it's kind of almost a bit overwhelming. It's kind of like, well, what am I going to go for first? What shall I do first? So let's have a chat with the creators of the project, and then when we've done that, I'll come back and I'll break it all down and let you know exactly what I think. So I am here with Kev G and Colin Claus, the creative minds behind the Refractor Project, redefining, and I'm reading the website right now, redefining gimmickless cube magic. You are basically the Antichrist to Henry Harriers at this point right now. It's really nice to have you on the channel, guys. How you doing? You okay?
Yeah,
Very
great.
well.
Thanks for having us.
No, I'm really glad that you have come on board. A lot of people are talking about Refractor, and it's interesting the way you guys have gone. And I'm going to ask you some questions about the Refractor Project in a bit, but it's very interesting how you guys have gone with this, because a lot of I mentioned Henry Harriers before, but not just Henry, but a lot of the creators of Rubik's Cube Magic at the moment, it's all about gimmicks. How can we make what gimmick can we make next? What can we do next? Well, you guys are going, no. Take your gimmicks. Let's put those to one side. It's all about just taking a cube with you and being able to do it. I suppose, let me ask you first of all, Kev, was that the goal with the Refractor Project? Did you want to completely stay away from gimmicks?
Do you know what? It's not that we're like against gimmicks, and obviously gimmicks can be used to make things easier or enhance certain things. But I think what we wanted to do, because both me and Colin are working magicians and we're going out performing in the real world, we didn't want to have to carry around extra cubes, extra props, extra stuff, right? And we wanted just to be able to perform some amazing magic with just a single Rubik's Cube, okay? So that was kind of our sort of aim and the kind of thing that we wanted to be able to do. And I think I can relate it to like a deck of cards, right? You can get some wicked gimmicks and stuff to do card tricks, but if you've learned the sleights and all the moves, you can go out and you could just perform with one deck of cards and you could do loads and loads of different tricks, right? So I think that's the kind of angle from my point of view that we were going at it with. We wanted just to be able to turn up to a gig with a cube, do loads of cool stuff. Or if someone happened to say, oh, can you show me something in my cube? Because I've been to so many gigs now where there's been kids either with a cube, playing with a cube, or have one on them. And
Sure.
I mean, how cool is it then to be able to go, cool, let me show you something with your cube? So I think those sort of things were the things that were sort of like the driving force for me to work on this kind of project. But I know Colin has his own views and reasons as well. So I'll pass over to Colin and let him have his.
Yeah, I want to ask the same question to you, Colin. But before I do, I totally see where you're coming from. You know, we think of the godfather of cube magic as Takami's Asui. And when he first started doing his thing, there were no gimmicks. He was just taking a regular cube and blowing people's minds. And then over time, gimmicks have become added. And you're just basically, you guys are bringing it back to where it started from. And I really like that. I love the idea of just having a cube and going out and blowing minds. That's great. Colin, let me ask you a question. How did this project come to be? Like, how did you and Kev meet up and decide to create this whole Refractor project?
Well, it all started with because I sent Kev this, which is one thing that the whole of Refractor is based around, which is the 4-4-6 mix, and that enables you to get to one side from a solved cube. You're able to solve to any named color really, really quickly, and then back to a solved cube really quickly. And to any cube magicians who knows a basic stack and a basic instant solve, that's kind of gold, because that's what you want, rather than having to solve the cube right back to its solved state. But yeah, I mean, there's also getting back to what Kev was just saying. I've always been a massive fan of I'm a massive fan of sleight of hand. I don't use that many gimmicks full stop. And whenever I use gimmicks, they just seem to go wrong for me. So this is why I prefer to sort of focus on sleight of hand stuff. I do with coins and cards as well. And Rubik's Cubes, from day one, I've wanted to do magic with just a cube. And I've kind of spent the first year just studying the cube and getting as fast as I could to be able to sort of solve it using sort of F2L and stuff like that. But at the end of the day, I want to go out and because I think it's important that you look like an expert at your field when you go out to do magic. So if you're going to do Rubik's Cube magic, I don't like the thought of being able to solve a cube really quickly and then somebody take it off me and then mix it and go, then go on, then, solve it really quickly. At that point, I don't want to be going, oh, I can't really do that. So that's my purpose. I want to look like an expert with the Rubik's Cube and be able to handle it like an expert. And that's why I love the idea of doing Rubik's Cube magic with just one cube. And that's what I think that's what the whole of Refractor is about.
Well, let me ask you a question very quickly. I know that one thing that people are going to be thinking about watching this is this the right project for them in terms of accessibility? Because there's going to be people that have bought a Venom Cube, for example, or a Rubicon by Greg Wilson, and they do cube magic, but they don't even know how to solve a cube. I mean, Greg Wilson, when he marketed Rubicon, he was like, you can do this without solving a cube. Then there's going to be people out there, that can solve a Rubik's Cube really quickly, and they do F2L and PPL and OOL. And then there's going to be people that just do the beginner's method. And then there's going to be people watching this that have no idea what the last 15 seconds meant in terms of that sentence. So my question is, from an accessibility point of view, who is this aimed at? Do you need to be able to solve a cube in order to because to buy everything, I mean, it's great value for money. I've seen what you guys are offering, but it's only great value for money if you're going to get something out of it. It's a lot of money to spend if you can't solve a cube, and you need to solve a cube in order to do this stuff. So where do you need to be? What level do you need to have in order to get the most out of Refractor?
Well, sorry, yeah. So yeah, so no, I was just going to say that basically that I think this isn't for absolute beginners. If you don't know how to solve the cube, then this absolutely isn't for you. But and ideally, you want to be able to solve the cube in round about a minute. Ideally under a minute, but round about, if you can solve the cube to a minute and 20 seconds, then this will definitely be for you. This will start to get get you thinking about being able to do it. You don't have to be a total speed cuber to be able to do any of this, because the algorithms we teach are really fairly simple, and we break them down and make them really simple as well. But Yeah, it's not for absolute beginners. It is for people that actually want to do cube magic with a real cube and that are able to solve the cube. I would definitely, I definitely emphasize that. But you don't have to be able to solve it super quick. And we've actually got a section on our website called Level Up, where we teach how to get a bit faster on the cube. So once you know the beginner's method, you can then become a little bit faster by learning Level Up, because there's various techniques that we actually use in Refractor that we kind of that work really well in making your cube solving quicker as well. So
to be clear, people don't. I know that, like, I've got a friend. His name is Nemid. He does the beginner method. He's more than happy doing the beginner method. He doesn't want to level up his cube magic. He doesn't want to get faster. He just wants to be able to do it fast enough that, like you say, if someone mixes up the cube, he can solve it in a decently impressive time. He's got the beginner method to about a minute, and he's happy with that. You don't need to level up in order to get the most out of this project. It's not like being able to get something out of the Refractor is based on leveling up and learning the more advanced algorithms that you can learn beyond the beginner method. Is that fair to say?
Yeah, definitely. Well, I mean, Kev will tell you that he uses the beginner's method, and that's and I use F2L, but he uses the beginner's method. So I'll pass that question over to him.
Yeah, so no, it's a really good question, and as Colin said, I have only learned the beginner's method, so I haven't learned F2L or to be honest, I haven't even looked into those, so I don't really know what they involve. Okay, so yeah, I use a beginner's method, but I have found the level up videos that Colin has made really useful, because the first set of videos aren't about learning any new algorithms. Okay, they're just about tips that you probably don't think about if you've learned the beginner's method, but things that you can think about that actually make you understand the cube a bit better and know and will make you faster without having to learn any new algorithms or things to learn. So coming back to your question about who is it for, everything on Refractor is easier than learning to solve the cube. Okay, so if you've learned to solve the cube, everything else is easier than that. So you've already done the hard bit if you've learned to solve the cube, right? And also, I think it's worth mentioning that there are some algorithms to learn, but every algorithm on the project, I think, like pretty much all the key algorithms on the project, it's the same algorithm to get into it, and it's the same algorithm to get out of it. So you haven't got to learn the algorithm to get into it and then the reverse to get out of it. You're just learning one algorithm to get in and to get out, which I think is another really unique thing about this project, is that we've reduced the learning time by 50% by putting out all of the stuff, which just makes it really easy to learn these things.
Okay. Now let me ask you about the actual project, because there is a lot of options on the website. You've got like Volume 1 Allspark, Megatron bundle, Volume bundle. Like there's a lot going on there. Like for somebody who doesn't fully understand everything that you get in the Refractor project, can you break down for me very briefly what you get and what people should buy and what the various bundles mean? Because some of them sound like a transformer. Megatron.
Yeah, I think what the whole thing was we got a lot of the names of the routines or the effects are all the majority are based on transformer names, and
wicked.
yeah, so I think that's why we decided on like the sort of Megatron bundle. Now, originally this was just going to be like a sort of like a one volume project thing, right? But like we had so many ideas, it just kind of spiraled out of control, and we thought, do you know what, we've got too much stuff for it to be a single product. So essentially the Refractor Project is like 4 separate products, and because we wanted to make them accessible, we've made them available individually. So if you just wanted to pick up Volume 1, which is what I'd recommend starting off at, you can just purchase that and its own thing, and then when you're ready to move on to Volume 2 or Volume 3, you can do. But after we had, so we kind of have thought, right, after we mapped everything out, we can divide everything nicely into 3 volumes. And then after we'd done all of that, I then came up with what's titled Allspark, which I kind of just stumbled upon whilst I was messing around with some algorithms, which is a really quick way to get to two opposite solved sides of the cube. Okay, which once I came across it, so from my stack I can get to this mix in 5 moves to get to two opposite solved sides of the cube, right? Which I thought, because it's so easy, I was like, this is incredible, but also it opened up so many more possibilities for routines, and it also enabled that kind of like you might jazz with a deck of cards, where depending on what's happening or your audience, you might go off and do something different than you might do, like you set out in your mind. You've now got the option of having numbers named, and depending on what the audience says, you might choose to go off one way, or halfway through a routine, the opportunity might arise to go off on a different way to do something different. So it just opened up all of those extra possibilities. But we have divided up the volumes for, and they've got kind of like their own thing they focus on. So I'll let Colin just talk about kind of each volume individually and kind of what the concept is behind each one.
That would be great. Colin, enlighten me. Talk to me about each volume, please.
Each one. So volume 1 introduces the 4-4-6 mix, which is mine and Kev's algorithm that I was just talking about, where you can get to that one color really quickly and then back to a solved cube. So that was our starting point. And then Kev teaches a load of instant solves, brand new ones. So not just instant slow motions, gradual solves as well. And then he teaches you his monster routine called Decepticon. And it's just a brilliant routine. It just builds really well. And it just uses all the things that you've learnt. So that's the other thing that's really good about this project. It's not just about quick moves, it's about full routines. So that's volume 1. Volume 2, kind of, because volume 1 talks about doing a lot of the stuff behind your back, and sort of a lot of the moves are hidden. Volume 2 opens this up, and all of a sudden you're doing all the moves that you were doing hidden in the first one, you're actually doing out in the open in the second, in the second volume. And that's because you learn this new algorithm called the gravitational mix. And that a lot of people might be familiar with different variations on that. You might have heard of, you might have heard of the millisecond solve.
Yeah,
from Stephen Brandish. It's along those lines, but the advantage with this one, again, what Kev was saying earlier on, all of a sudden you're able to do it with just one algorithm, and it involves the 2-1-1-2 mix. If you know, for anyone who's familiar with the attacker mix is there. So that's volume 2, and that really explores that. There's some amazing things. Oh, there's also, I've got a thing called the transformer solve, which is it's my variation. Looks, so you can really show, it looks like a really nicely mixed cube, and then you can go like that and it's solved quite quickly. So that's quite nice. So and then volume 3 is all about matching effects, and that's where we talk about we teach this thing called the force mix. And on that one, it's my passion with Rubik's cubes has always been matching effects, but I've always wanted to do I know this sounds stupid, but a 1 cube matching effect, so that you're not having to carry around 2 cubes. So, okay, you could carry around a sort of mini keyring cube or something like that as well. But ideally, you just want to be sending somebody a photo right at the beginning of your act. And then later on, once you've mixed the cube a load, loads, and let the spectator you don't actually let the spectator mix the cube, but you're taught a way of how to maintain your stack whilst mixing the cube. And that's, as I said, that's a method called the force mix. So volume 3 is all about the matching effects, and then volume 4 is Kev's Allspark, which he's just explained about the 2 colors.
I have to say, I completely agree with your philosophy of having just 1 cube and doing a solve with 1 cube. I've been doing that, a variation on that, for a long time. I have a tattoo of a Rubik's Cube on my arm, and like I've never found a match that's as strong as that. You mix a cube, and then you show that it matches the tattoo on your arm, game over, end of. Like there's no gimmick in the world that will make that make any match as strong as that. So I totally get where you're coming from there.
Was it that routine of yours? Actually, I remember watching that, and that was posted up sort of a couple of years ago, wasn't it?
Oh, I've
that
been doing
one.
that mix for about 3 years now. Yeah.
Right.
That timing force type thing. Yeah.
Yeah. I looked at that. I loved it. The first time I saw that was for me, that was a perfect routine. And the fact that you'd incorporated your tattoo was even better. I thought that was genius. And actually, that was when I watched your force there. That kind of got me thinking, and that also helped develop my force mix. So yeah. So thank you for that.
No problem. You're more than welcome. That's awesome. Well, you know I mean, the whole project sounds absolutely fantastic. So people that are intermediate with cubes, they can jump straight in, no problem. Beginners, would you recommend? What project would you recommend, Kev, for somebody to level themselves up to a position where they can get Refractor?
Like, as I said, as long as they can solve the cube, that is
Just go on YouTube and just look at a tutorial.
Exactly. Now we kind of thought about, oh, shall we teach how to solve the cube on the project? But there are 1,000,001 places where you can learn to solve the cube. You can go onto YouTube, and there are lots of people who are teaching how to solve the cube. I personally just downloaded the PDF from the Rubik's Cube website with the notation on, and I just worked through that. But it just depends what the easiest way to learn how to solve the cube is. So yeah, if you want to get into cube magic, first learn how to solve the cube. That's going to be your biggest thing to get over. And once you've got that down, and the more you solve the cube, the faster you'll just inherently get. There's no kind of, it's just the more you do it, the more you'll get faster at it. And it is addictive to just pick it up and, right, I'm just going to solve it.
Oh yeah.
So I say that's a starting point, but I just wanted also to pick up on something that Colin mentioned when he was talking about for the gravitational mix, for example, and he mentioned about the 2-on-1-2 stack, which is Takami's. Sorry, that's my arm. The 2-on-1-2 stack, which is Takami's. Now, although on the project, because that is our preferred stack, that's the one that we teach in the videos, but I have also included the algorithms and notes if you want to use Takami's 1-2-2-1 stack, if you want to use half of Stephen's stack, so you can also do it using the 2-2-1-1 stack. All right.
I know that like Cuba's kind of more towards Takami's as opposed to Stephen Brundwich, and rightfully so. Me personally, I use Brundwich's mix because that's what I first learned my cube magic, and I've tried to get my head around learning Takami's mix, but I just get myself confused, and so I have to stick with that mix now because I'm old and my head doesn't work properly. I have to just kind of stick with what I know. So it can be frustrating for somebody who doesn't use Takami's mix, and everything revolves around that mix. So it's nice to know that you've kind of incorporated everything. That's good.
And this is the thing, right? So even though on the videos I'm teaching it from the point of view using Takami's 2-on-1-2 stack, because that's what he's given me permission to teach that, okay? And on the project as well, he's also given permission to include his behind the back rotation force. And I can remember I showed you this to force a color, and you were like, I've no idea how that works. So that's included on the project. But yeah, I think it's really important to say that on volume 1, for example, the solves don't have to start from 2-on-1-2 stack. You can use your preferred stack and you can still do the solves. They're just going to be slight variations. But once you understand the concept, you'll be able to do it straight away. So as well as that, so I've put on stuff for the different stacks. And the reason why we kind of focus on Takami's is because Takami's has got the property of being a mirrored algorithm, right? So it's the same moves to get in and out of it. Now, what that means is that when you combine that with other mixes, all you have to do is learn one mix, and you can then mirror that, or you can do the same thing to get back to your original position. Whereas with Stevens, it's not possible to do that because you're doing something different to get in as you are to get out. So it has to be slightly different, if that makes sense. I've also converted the algorithms for left-handed people as well, because we know there's quite a few people who are left-handed.
Well, Ryan will be very glad about that.
Yeah, so we've tried to kind of cover all bases, and if someone in the community says, "Oh, I'm not," how do you do this? Then we'll do our best to provide something that is going to solve that problem for them. And I've even got some people who are like, "Well, I do this stack right-handed, but then I do this stack left-handed." So I'm like, "Well, okay, give me a chance that I'll try and work this out for you." But just to let people know that if they are left-handed or if they use different stacks, we have put those resources there as well as like additional things.
Brilliant. That's great. Let me ask one last question before I flip this back to the studio. Colin, is there any plans to expand this moving forward? Because obviously, you know, we've got the domain name Rubik's Cube Magician. That's where the Refractor Project lies. We've got the 4 volumes. Have you are you guys kind of like, right, that's it, we're done, there's nothing else we can do with cubes, or are you working together to try and bring out a 5th and a 6th volume?
Well, from day one, I think, as Kev said earlier, it started off as a one project thing, and it was going to be a project that we thought, oh, it's fairly small with a few ideas on it, and it's just grown and grown and grown. So the chances of, and Kev, I mean, it's Kev really. Kev thinks so quickly, and he's able to come up with just so much stuff. It blows me away. And as I was saying, you know, I'm quite a slow learner, so you know, I need to sort of digest stuff, and then I come up with stuff. Kev's just, you know, you show him something, the next day he's come up with 20 ideas on what you've just shown him. So I have no doubt that there'll be another volume, just simply because of what Kev's going to come up with next. That's
cool. Guys, this has been absolutely fantastic. There's been a lot of questions about Refractor, so hopefully that's answered all of the questions. Now, I'm going to swing it back to the studio. Before I do, the only place you can get this full project is at rubikscubemagician.co.uk. And down the bottom of the screen, I'm going to have the URL. I'm also going to have a link in the description. But also, do we have social media? Are you guys on Instagram with the Refractor Project?
Kev is so on it, yeah.
Yeah. So there's not we haven't posted loads of stuff, but on Instagram, it's Rubik's Cube Magicians, so an S on the end because Magician wasn't available. And also we have got a Facebook page as well, which again is Rubik's Cube Magicians. So you can find us there. But the other thing I'll just mention is that if you purchase Refractor, there's also a Facebook group as well. And the whole thing about this project in my mind is that we wanted to sort of create this community, whereas it's not like you buy a project and off you go, you know, you've got no contact with the creators to ask questions. We like to be like really involved, and I don't mind if people want to send me a personal message or get in touch and say, can you help me with this, or what do you think about this? And that's what I want, because already we've made loads of new friends. There's loads of cool people that we're interacting with and that are sharing ideas and stuff related to the project. And I think in my mind, that's what it's all about. It's not just about getting a project and putting it out there and then forgetting about it. This is something that we want to sort of keep developing and expanding.
Brilliant. Guys, this has been absolutely amazing. Thank you so much. I'm now going to swing this over to the studio, and I'm going to give the project a full review. But one more time, Colin, Kev, thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Cheers. Thank you, Greg. It's been awesome.
Okay, so I don't know Colin very well. I've known Kev for years. I want to say thank you to Colin and Kev for jumping on and doing that interview with me. It's very much appreciated. Also, I just want to I want to say, and obviously this goes without saying, but I'm going to say it anyway. Even though I've known Kev G for years, this is a completely unbiased, honest review, and I did say that to Kev when I told him that I was going to be reviewing the project. So with that in mind, I have my iPad here because there is so much to talk about with this project. It's ridiculous. So first of all of this stuff is available at rubikscubemagician.com. Okay, so it's only available through rubikscubemagician.com. Certain elements of the project are available individually. Like I noticed that the 446 mix, which we'll come to in a little bit, the 446 mix is available as a Penguin Magic download, for example. So there's small little parts of the project that are available as a sort of a separate download. But generally, as a rule, 99% of the material is only available for rubikscubemagician.co.uk. And if you go on there, there's a pop-up and you can sign up for some free stuff, which is nice, and it's worth signing up. You'll get on their mailing list. They don't spam you. It's worth going on their mailing list. But as part of their mailing list, you'll also get access to some free stuff, so you can see stuff that's on there. And one of the things that you can get for free is you can actually get this thing called Level Up, which is what I wish I had when I first started cubing. And I'll talk about this first of all. Level Up, basically what it is it's a way of leveling you up as a cube magician. So it teaches you how to solve a Rubik's Cube. If you've never solved a Rubik's Cube before, it's like 2 hours and 20 minutes of instructions. First of all, it teaches you the beginner method. So you learn the white cross, then you learn how to solve the first layer, then the second layer, then it teaches you how to solve the top layer. But it doesn't just stop there. Most tutorials, like if you remember back to Cube 3 did that and did it very well. But these guys then go on, so it teaches you then how to do basic F2L, more advanced F2L, which F2L, if you don't know, stands for first two layers. So it's a way of streamlining the solve of the first two layers. Then it teaches you how to do OOL and PLL, which I don't do, but Ryland does, which is orientating the top layer and permutating the top layer. So it teaches you all of this stuff, and it teaches you all the different algorithms that you need. You could literally go in and watch the Level Up videos and go from not being able to solve a Rubik's Cube to being able to solve Rubik's Cube fairly easily. Now, which brings me on to the next point, which is, and we're going to go through all 3 volumes in a minute. It's why I've got this in front of me, because there's so much stuff. I know if I didn't go through this, I'd forget some of it. Now, before I go into the 3 volumes, I personally think that you are going to have to be dedicated in order to do this. If you're the sort of person that wants to get a quick trick, to learn, a self-working trick that you can show your mates down the pub, this is not the project for you. If you want to be really good with a Rubik's Cube, and maybe you want to take your Rubik's Cube Magic to the next level, this is the project for you. But you are going to have, you're going to have to practice this. There's no bones about it. There's no two ways about it. You're going to have to practice it. I think that realistically, you are going to need to be able to solve a Rubik's Cube in order to do this. In order to do this, you are going to have to solve Rubik's Cube. And I'll tell you for why. A lot of the stuff, like I've been practicing routines on here now for a long while. And probably now for about 2 weeks, I've been practicing various different routines. There's this thing which I'll talk about in a bit called the gravitational solve. And it's like, I think, an 18-step algorithm that you have to do in order to get into the position. Now, what's really clever about it is it's the same algorithm to get into it that gets out of it. But like, it's an 18-step algorithm. Now, technically, you could learn that algorithm and just do that solve. But the problem is, if you mess it up, you're then going to have to solve the cube. So you absolutely, and also by learning how to solve the cube, you're going to understand the terminology of the cube. What's prime? What's not prime? What's the difference between a little letter and a big letter? All of this stuff you'll start to understand. So realistically, you are going to have to solve a cube in order to do this project. Or if you don't solve a cube, that's fine, because they're going to teach you how to solve one, and you can learn how to solve a cube very easily. I mean, Ryland could do it when he was 6. But you are going to have to be dedicated. It's not the sort of thing that you can just literally pick up, watch the download once, and then put it into your act. You're going to need practice. I've been working on the gravitational solve for a while now, and it's still not there. And I've got experience doing Rubik's Cube Magic. And Colin and Kev are great teachers. Don't get me wrong. They are awesome teachers. They are really good, and the material is great. But you are going to have to be dedicated to learn this stuff. I need to throw that out there. So volume 1. Volume 1, what do you get in volume 1? So What's nice about it, so you can buy it individually. There's 3 volumes and then there's an add-on. Or you can buy like a bundle which gets you everything. So I've got the bundle, so I've got absolutely everything. And when I go into my portal on the website, I can see all of the solves, I can see all of the mixes, I can see everything. It's all broken down really nicely, which is great. And the first thing that you should learn on the project is the 4-4-6 mix. It's taught on each volume. Or, you know, obviously it's one of the first things that you learn on volume 1. The 4-4-6 mix, what it does is it's a very interesting way. It's an algorithm. You learn one algorithm and that gets you into and out of the situation very, very easily. And what it allows you to do, and this is really cool, it allows you to take a cube, mix it up behind your back, or if you're sitting at a table, underneath the table, and it allows you to mix it up, have somebody name a color, and without looking at it, you bring the cube out and you've solved just the color that they've named, which is pretty cool, right? And then you put it back underneath the table, you show it's completely mixed up, you get them to name another color, they name another color, you do some mixing underneath the table, and you bring it out and you show that the cube is now mixed up again, but the only side that's solved is the second color that they've named. And you can do this over and over again, and then eventually you can put it underneath the table and then bring it out and the whole cube's solved. It's a great intro into Rubik's Cube Magic with a regular cube, because it allows you to talk about God's number, and in the what's it called? In the volume 2, there's a routine that uses it, the cognitive illusion. In cognitive illusion, Kev has got a really nice presentation when he combines this with another routine, and he talks about God's number, and God's number's 20, and you know, look it up and blah 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 and so on and so forth, which is a really nice presentation for it. The 4-4-6 mix is really cool. I've got that down. I'm good with that. That's absolutely fine. It wasn't that hard to do at all. In fact, just to give you a frame of reference, I'll perform the 4-4-6 mix for you so you can just see the sort of thing that it does. Let's have a look at that right now. So I'm here with Jack. Jack, you're going to help me with this. Is that okay?
Yeah.
Got a Rubik's Cube here. Now, you've seen me solve Rubik's Cubes before. There's 47 quintillion different combinations of the Rubik's Cube. Now, to put that into context, if you took 47 quintillion different cubes and lay them next to each other, they would go around the Earth twice. Not that you'd be able to lay them around the Earth twice because you get to the ocean and you drown. But, I mean, the concept is some of them would float. Do Rubik's Cubes float? I don't know. Who cares? The point is, it's a big number, right?
Yep.
Now, have you heard of something called God's number?
No.
So God's number, very simply, is a lot of people think the more you mix up a Rubik's Cube, the harder it is to solve. That's not necessarily true. God's number is basically 20. It means that any cube, no matter how mixed up it is a maximum of 20 moves away from being solved. And the concept comes from, if God was going to solve a Rubik's Cube, he would take the most efficient way possible, right? Now, if I mixed up this cube and then solved it, that would be impressive, but you know I can solve a Rubik's Cube. If I told you I could take the cube underneath the table, start mixing it, and then put it underneath the table and carry on mixing it and solve it, would that be good?
That'd be pretty good.
That'd be pretty good, especially if I didn't look like this, because if I was looking, that wouldn't be magic, that would be stupid. I'm going to go one step further. I'm going to keep it underneath the table. I want you to name a colour for me, any colour. There's 6 colours on the Rubik's Cube. Name a colour.
White.
Are you sure?
Yeah.
Okay, here we go. This is my concentrating face. Shut up, it's important. Done. Da, da, da. Do you see any white on top?
No.
How about any white there?
No.
See any white there?
No.
Any white there? Any white there? Because underneath the table, without looking, I mixed up the whole cube except for white.
What?
Which is pretty good, but I know what you're thinking. You're thinking, was that a fluke? And the answer is no, it wasn't a fluke. But to prove it to you, I'll do it again. I'll put it underneath the table. Luke, name a different colour.
Yellow.
Are you sure?
Yes.
Okay, let's do this. Again with the concentrating face. Shut up, it's important. Okay. There you go. Hang on. Yellow. To be clear, yellow, yeah?
Yeah.
Done. And check that out. Do you see any yellow on top, Luke?
No.
Do you see any yellow there?
No.
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 Because underneath the table, I got the yellow! I got the yellow! Dude! We'll try it one last time, because I know what you're thinking. You're thinking, is this guy man or myth? Well, no, I am just a normal mortal, and yet I can do things with a Rubik's Cube you couldn't even dream of. We'll try it one more time. Name a colour for me, Jay.
Green.
Are you sure?
Yeah.
Okay. Let's try and do it. Every time you do it, it becomes harder. That sounds dirty, doesn't it? Every time. Kind of goes without saying, really, doesn't it? But I'm going to go. What colour did you say?
Green.
Oh, shit. Really?
Yeah.
Sure you don't want blue?
No, I definitely agree.
Thanks. Okay, hang on. Hold that thought. Got it. What colour again?
Green?
Do you see the green on top?
Nope.
Do you see the green there?
No.
See the green there?
No.
See the green there?
No.
See the green there? No. Come on. Let's face it. I am basically Rubik's Cube God. I mean, this is incredible, right? But I'm going to try and do this one more time, but this time I'm going to do it in a much more different way. I'm going to do it in a much more different way. Luke, if I told you I could take this cube, put it underneath the table, right? Put it underneath the table, and I could solve it completely, all sides, in less than 5 seconds, would that be good?
It'd be amazing, yeah.
Okay, you say go, and in less than 5 seconds, I'll do it.
Okay, go.
Done. There you go. That would be... I think that was about a second, to be perfectly honest. I'm not too sure, but I'd give that about a second. And that is the 4-4-6 mix. Okay, so that's the 4-4-6 mix, and that's on volume 1. The other thing you're going to learn on volume 1 are some really cool souls. I think you learn 3 really cool souls. You learn some really great false mixes. It's very important when you're doing Rubik's Cube Magic to have a good false mix, because it's a little bit like having a good false shuffle when you're doing a mem deck. You want to have a good false mix so that people are convinced that the cube is mixed, right? So he teaches you a couple of really good false mixes, teaches some really good solves. He goes into some additional bonus ideas with his cube card stack. But the thing that you're getting mainly on volume 1 is you're getting the 4-4-6 mix, and you're also getting the Decepticon routine. The Decepticon routine takes everything that you've learned off volume 1 and puts it together into this monster of a routine. And it's really good, actually. It's really, really good. And it takes all of the solves and the 4-4-6 mix and puts it all together. And to be honest, that Decepticon routine is super, super, super commercial. So if you just got volume 1 and you just learned the 4-4-6 mix, couple of solves, learned the Decepticon routine, you'll have a killer routine with a regular cube that you can do anytime, anywhere. But then you go into volume 2. So volume 2 is a little bit more complicated. It uses the 4-4-6 mix again, but it also teaches you a whole bunch of solves. The gravitational solve, which is really cool. You might have seen, if you think back to Stephen Brundwidge on America's Got Talent, he did a version of this where you mix up a cube and you show it's mixed and you drop it into your hand, and when you do it solves. I've seen other people do this as well. What Kev and Colin have added to this is, first of all, the way that the cube solves looks better. It's almost like a fingertip muscle pass. It looks like you throw it up in the air and it solves. But as well as that, the other thing that you're getting is the guys have come up with a really nice way of getting into this mix. So one algorithm gets you into the mix, and then once you're into the mix and you do the gravitational solve, the same algorithm will get you out of it and put you into the 2-1-2 mix, which is the Takami's mix, which allows you to do the shake solve, right? So you can have a regular cube, mix it up, do the drop solve or the gravitational solve, mix it up again, do a shake solve, and you're back to a regular cube, which is just with one algorithm, which is really good. Anybody who's a cuber or does cube magic that would understand what I'm talking about there. That's really cool. He then talks about a couple of routines, convergence and cognitive illusion. I very much like cognitive illusion. He takes the 4-4-6 mix, combines it with the gravitational solve, and comes up with a really killer routine. That's one that I'm actually working on at the moment. Okay, so I'm here with Jack again, and Jack's got a love of Rubik's Cube Magic, haven't you, Jack?
I do love them, yeah.
You do love the cubes. So we're going to mix it up. Apparently I've forgotten how to mix up a Rubik's Cube, but it's fine. It's fine. It's fine. We'll do one of those. What I'm trying to do here, mate, is mix this cube up. Is that cube well and truly mixed up, would you say?
I'd say so.
I would say that cube is well and truly mixed up. What I'm going to do is I'm going to try and do this. Watch. Do you see the cube there, Luke?
Yes.
Watch this. 3, 2, 1. Look at that in midair. In midair, I solved the Rubik's Cube. Finally, on volume 2, you also learn Colin's, Transformer solve and his Cyclone false mix, which are incredible. It's took me so long to get through this material. It's why it took so long to do this. This should have come out like a month ago. Normally, I don't spend this much time looking into these projects, but it's because there's so much stuff. So volume 3, a lot of the stuff on volume 3 involves impromptu matching effects. So in other words, taking a cube and having it match a picture of a Rubik's Cube. Very similar to, if anyone's seen me do my tattoo timing force, it's very similar to a timing force, not in terms of method, but in terms of that's the outcome. The outcome is you've got one ungimmick cube, and you're causing the spectator to stop at a particular point that's predetermined, right? But Colin's way of achieving it is very, very different to mine. I'll be honest with you, I haven't bothered learning that just because I've got my own way of doing it that I'm very happy with. So there's no reason why I would actually learn Colin's method. But I'm not saying that Colin's method's not good. It's absolutely great. It's well worth looking into, but you've got to pick and choose stuff off a project, and that's something I've decided against. There's a couple of routines in there. There's Colortron, which is a really nice routine, and Parallel Minds, which is a cube matching effect. Very, very good. Ends up with a cube solve. I love that. That was great. So I mean, those are the 3 volumes. Now, the other thing that you've got is you've got your add-on, which is All Spark, and it says here, the final piece of a puzzle, an algorithm that opens up so many possibilities with the Refractor Project. It enables you to jazz your performances. I've started watching All Spark. There's some really nice stuff. They've got variations on the 446 mix. They've got variations on the 2116 mix. I very much liked Shockwave. I haven't really fully delved into the All Spark add-on yet, but I will do. I just haven't got round to it, but I've given it a cursory glance, and there's some very nice stuff on there. Currently, I'm working my way through Volume 2. I've done Volume 1, happy with Volume 1, working with Volume 2, but I've watched everything. Yeah, I mean, ultimately, I have to say that this is probably the most in-depth, concise collection of routines with a regular ungimmick cube you will ever see. If you do cube magic in any way, shape, or form, and you want to take your, it's a bit of a cliche, isn't it? Do you want to take your cube magic to the next level? But that's what this is going to do. I will always use gimmicks. I love gimmicks. I think that some of the stuff that Henry Harrius brings out is amazing. But there's a time and a place to do regular ungimmick cube magic. And as I say, for me, the time that I typically will do regular ungimmick cube magic is when I'm doing Walk Around, because pocket spaces are sort of limited. I'll put a Rubik's Cube in my pocket and I'm good to go. I will definitely be adding some of the routines from this into there. The Cognitive Illusion is one that I want to do. As soon as I've got that gravitational mix perfect, I'll be doing that. The Decepticon routine I want to do almost immediately. I absolutely love this project. I really do. It is not for everybody. It is not for everybody. It's for people that want to take their Rubik's Cube magic seriously. If you're dipping your toe into Rubik's Cube magic and you don't know whether it's going to be for you, I don't know if this is for you. But I mean, I've spent weeks practicing it, and I do a lot of Rubik's Cube magic. So it's something that's going to be, it's aspirational. It's not difficult, really. If you can do anything with Rubik's Cubes, if you know how to solve a Rubik's Cube and you can do a Takamist shape solve, you're going to be able to do all this. But the problem is it's committing a lot of this stuff to memory. There's new algorithms that you're going to have to learn, that you're going to have to kind of embed in your memory. And anybody who's learned Rubik's Cube magic will know that when you take a new routine on with a new algorithm, it takes a while to get that down. And I mean, when you do Rubik's Cube magic and you're doing it in the real world, it's not just a case of knowing the algorithm, it's a case of being able to do it flawlessly. So, for example, in the gravitational solve, Kev suggests sort of breaking it down into words, which is, I can't remember now because I've actually gone past that, but I think the word lad and the word bladder was in there, which is absolutely fine, and that will help you get it down. But when you're doing it in a real world, you want to just be able to do it. Muscle memory, which involves a lot of practice. So this is something that will require a lot of practice. Having said that, the routines in this project are killer, absolutely killer, and well worth learning, because you get these down. You go to a magic convention and there's some cubers there. There's some guys that do cube magic and they do the simple shake solve and they don't know about this project. You do some of the stuff off this and you're going to absolutely blow them away. It's just, you're going to be, imagine Daddy D Ortiz with cards. That's going to be you with Rubik's Cubes. I mean, because it's killer material. I did find it a bit odd. One thing that I thought was a bit odd, and I'd love to know why the guys did this, is when you actually go into the project and you become a member and you've got all of the different sections, they're all YouTube videos. They're all unlisted YouTube videos. And I would have thought that if they'd gone to an effort to have their own website made and they'd gone to an effort to actually had it all put together with all the different sections and everything, that there's a better way of hosting a video than on an unlisted YouTube video. Like, you know, I'm sure that, well, there are, I know, because with Netrix, we've got a whole, you know, the platform itself is designed from the ground up to be able to host the videos within the platform while still making them downloadable. And I would have thought that Colin and Kev would have gone down that route rather than just having unlisted YouTube videos, because the problem with unlisted YouTube videos is they can just be made private at any point. I don't know. Maybe there's a reason behind it. I'm not too sure. That's the only thing about the whole project that I thought was a bit odd, to be perfectly honest. But yeah, I mean, I wanted to go in depth with this because I think the whole project deserves to have an in-depth look at it. I've performed a couple of the routines off there during the course of this review show special, but I will be performing more over the course of the coming weeks and months on Magic Lives. I will be performing more. If you want to know more about Rubik's Cube Magic and you want to know whether Rubik's Cube Magic is right for you, I did a Hows and Whys of Rubik's Cube Magic, which is on the Magic Stuff playlist. So you can look at that. I break down what Rubik's Cube Magic involves, how to solve Rubik's Cube. I don't talk to you about how to solve Rubik's Cube, but I talk about why it's important. I talk about the different gimmicks that you can get. I talk about absolutely everything. So it's well worth checking that video out if you've got an interest in Rubik's Cube Magic. But this is not that expensive. If you buy the whole bundle set, considering what you get, I can't remember the price now, but when you buy the bundle set, considering what you get, it's very inexpensive. I think it's something like, you know, for the whole thing, I think it's something like 40 odd pounds, something like that. I can't remember exactly. Can't remember. I think it's about 40 odd pounds, something like that for the whole set. It's not very expensive. And then all you need is a good speed cube, and you can just spend, this is one of those things that you can just spend hours on. You can just spend, which is what I'm doing. I've got access to it on my phone, and I'm just looking at it on the phone. I'm going to a gig tomorrow in London, so I'm going to be watching this the entire way down to London and just practicing all the different routines on here. So yeah, really good. I'm going to give this 98%. If you are a cuber or you are interested in Rubik's Cube Magic and you want to take your Rubik's Cube Magic to the next level, this is absolutely a project that you should be looking at, because it's really good. So there you go, guys. That is another review show special in the bag. Thank you very much for watching this week. I really appreciate it, as normal. Don't forget, if you want to see more videos like this, all you got to do is like the video, subscribe to the channel, and leave a comment down below. For everybody that's new subscribing, we're adding a lot of subscribers at the moment. I really appreciate every single person that watches these videos. And don't forget, on Monday, I'm going to be back with a 5x5 at 9 o'clock. At 6 o'clock, I'm going to be doing a Magic Live. At 2 o'clock, I'm going to be doing a short. So I'm seeing you again soon. Thanks very much for watching. My name's Craig from Magic TV.